Welcome to Red-tastic. Story 1. Am I the a-hole for not helping my mother-in-law financially even though I could? My wife and I have been together for 10 years, and we come from completely different backgrounds. I, 38 male, was very fortunate to have grown up in a rather wealthy home. My parents gave me every opportunity to be successful, but also at the same time made me work for what I had. I was never directly given anything just because I wanted it. For example, they bought me my first car but had to keep my grades up, do house chores, etc. They also paid for my college, but again, had to keep my grades up or else I was paying the tuition myself. Fast forward to today. I am myself a rather successful professional who works as a healthcare consultant and makes enough money to support my family, 2 children. I own several properties around the globe and have built up a significant financial portfolio, none of which was provided or funded by my parents. My wife's side is completely different. My wife grew up in a modest home, but her parents supported her as best as they could. They were very loose with their money when they were able to make it, were free thinkers, hippies, and are never good at saving money. I'm not saying they are bad people. They are very family-oriented and would give the shirt off their back to anyone. My wife was not as fortunate as I was and had to pay her way for everything, including college. After we married, I paid off the rest of her college loan. Even with these differences, my wife and I are very happy. I'm over the moon in love with her. And our family is generally very happy. That is, we don't have any marital problems and are very active with our children. My mother-in-law's mother, wife's grandmother, recently passed away about a year ago and left her estate split between my mother-in-law and her 2 siblings. She ended up walking away with a little over $90,000. At the time, I mentioned to my mother-in-law that it would be a good idea to consult with a financial advisor so that she could start a retirement fund. That was the last I spoke to her about it, because my wife has told me in the past to try and not to discuss finances with her because it makes her uncomfortable as she is aware of my success. But to make an already long story shorter, I came to find out a few weeks ago that the majority of the funds she received are gone, and mother-in-law has spoken to my wife about needing some major repairs on her car, house, and other miscellaneous items. My wife discussed it with me, and I'm having a real hard time with just handing over the money, even though I could. My parents brought me up to appreciate the things I have worked very hard for my savings, lifestyle, and appreciate the value of $1, whereas it is fairly obvious my mother-in-law does not. I feel like just handing over the money would be opening the floodgates. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to help? Edit. Lots of people have been asking what she did with $90,000 in 1 year. From what I've been told, a lot of it was given to my wife's brother and to mother-in-law's husband's family. Wife's parents are divorced. In my opinion, the individuals receiving a portion of the mother-in-law's inheritance are just as bad with money as she is. The mother-in-law's husband's family didn't even know my mother-in-law's mother either, which I found odd. Mother-in-law is a few years away from retirement eligibility, so I'm not sure why she didn't plan more thoroughly. I get that she seemed to spread the wealth as some people have pointed out. But in my opinion, this money could have really helped her in her later years when she isn't making a paycheck. My wife and I are together on this decision. We are married, so whatever we make together financially is both of ours. She understands this is a sensitive subject and we both want to be there for family. But where I am hung up on this is many of the items she needs assistance on are things that didn't just pop up overnight. For example, she needs a new roof. It could have been fixed when she had the money to do so. Why am I on the hook for that? You're not the a-hole for not wanting to give your mother-in-law money, OP. Like you said, it might open a floodgate to situations like this, where she needs something and she just expects you to buy it or pay for it for her. Your mother-in-law blew through 90K somehow, so it's not like she would ever actually make good use of the money you give to her. Stick to your guns unless it's an emergency or a life and death situation. It's a good thing your wife agrees. She definitely knows her mother better than you do, and she knows your fears are valid. Now for some comments. Not the a-hole. You're all adults. You aren't responsible for bailing other people out. They can't have it both ways, with not wanting financial advice but then wanting financial assistance because they were irresponsible. What are your wife's feelings about her mother blowing away 90K in almost a year? It's unfair of her to even put you in the situation, even if you can afford it. My ex's family had no money, but he was successful. When they were given money, they spent it all. His main rule of thumb was to never give them cash. If they needed something, such as a car part or repair, he would pay for that specific thing. At first, they shouted he was an a-hole, but it never stopped them from asking for stuff. So I would say not the a-hole. Maybe a compromise can be made, but don't feel obligated to give them money just because they ask. Not the a-hole. You tried to help when you advised her on a financial planner. She wouldn't be asking for financial help now if she had listened. I know it's tough, but seriously, 90K gone in a year, entirely? I think you're spot on with the concern over floodgates. You were able to help out last time. Your wife has probably talked with her mother about finances and the position you and she are in. So, I wouldn't be surprised if once you started lending money, you might find yourself being asked a lot. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for not going to my mom's funeral? A quick note. My father dipped when I was about 2 and left my mom to raise me, my little sister, and my 3 older brothers by herself. Right before my 16th birthday, I'm currently 27. My mom found out via a school's student counselor that I'm a lesbian. She was pretty upset over the whole thing, and we got into a fight that ended with her demanding that I either leave or I submit myself to conversion therapy. I decided that it was best for me to go, packed my stuff up, and bought a plane ticket, in cash, to go from Arizona to Maryland. While in Maryland, I supported myself, never once hearing from my mother, brothers, or sister. While in college, I ended up in the same class as one of my maternal cousins, and I told her why I hadn't been at any of the family reunions. In Christmas cards or at our aunt's wedding, she was very sympathetic, and through her, I was able to contact my siblings again. A year ago, my sister called me to let me know that our mother was ill and possibly dying. At the time, I didn't have the money to fly out to see her, so my sister paid for me to go. Even after my sister introduced me, my mother didn't even recognize me. It was like I had never existed to her. She had either forgotten about me or blocked any memory of her living disappointment. Her words, not mine. From her memory. A month ago, my sister called to let me know that our mother had passed away, and I received an invitation to her funeral. I didn't go. My eldest brother is upset with me for not being able to move on. Am I the a-hole? You're not the a-hole, OP. I can't start to imagine what you're going through or how heartbreaking the whole thing must have been for you. Your own mother was homophobic enough to cut you out of her life and your siblings' life. Not only did she erase your existence from her mind, but she also deprived you of growing up with your family. Your brother will never understand your pain. That's why he thinks you should just get over it. You're not an a-hole for not going to her funeral, OP. You needed to not be there for your mental health, and that's okay. Now for some comments. Not the a-hole. You cut ties with her and she did the same to you. It's cold, I know, but you did care for her by coming back to visit. She was just not your mother anymore. No one can blame you. Your brother is not an a-hole too. He went through a lot of emotions right now, because his mother, who he probably has had a good relationship with, passed away. Not the a-hole. I was in your brother's shoes earlier this year after my single father passed away. He had kicked out my younger brother for being transgender. He's female to male trans. And I found out when my younger brother turned up outside my apartment asking if he could stay with me. He was 17, I was 21. When our dad died, I went to the funeral, but my little brother didn't. For him, it would have just reopened a wound that he had spent years trying to heal. Sure, I would have liked him to be there for emotional support, but I'm an adult and know that everyone heals differently. You just needed space to heal, and that's okay. No a-holes here. No one can tell another how to process the death of a parent or relative. I was never close to my a-hole father for most of my life, but his death tore me up a lot and made me feel pretty guilty about our relationship. I needed to move on and sort through it, but I certainly didn't need to go to that funeral. And on the same page, I would be dealing with other people's emotions in an understanding manner too. Your brother feels that way. He's also dealing with his own pain and loss. His position is also valid from his point of view and is understandably emotional as well. Story 3. Am I the a-hole for pointing out the warning signs that my brother's girlfriend is putting out? My brother has been dating this chick for like 5 years. She's quiet and barely talks to the family except for my mom when she comes over. My mom says she's just shy, but she seems standoffish and uppity. I'll come right out and say I never really liked her. She's in grad school living off her daddy's money while my brother has a high-paying finance job. It looks like she was just trying to find a new paycheck for when her dad stops covering everything, and she's using my brother for that. My brother arranged a massive proposal where both families and all their friends would come celebrate after he proposed. She really pissed me off at the celebration. If she's really just shy, why is she suddenly all over my brother, kissing him and sitting in his lap and talking to everyone? She was on her phone the whole time taking pictures of her hand and the effing massive ring he bought her. It's like her whole personality changed once she got what she wanted. On top of that, one of my aunts made a joke about them having kids soon. And my brother's girlfriend said, "Nope, I'm not having kids to get ready for some adopted babies." It rubbed me the wrong way that she couldn't just roll with the joke and needed to assert herself suddenly when she was never even talking to us before. I told my brother that I don't think he should marry her because she has bad intentions and was just chasing the stability and finances he provided. He told me to F myself and blocked me on social media. My mom is pissed at me too and told me to get my shit together. I don't really give a shit about reconciling, but I'm wondering if I'm in the wrong. Am I the a-hole for pointing out the red flags that I see everywhere? Now for some comments. You're the a-hole. As a shy person, shy people can often seem uppity, when in reality it just makes us nervous to talk to people we don't know. She was likely just in a good mood and happy that she was proposed to, as any person would be. You have no proof that she's done anything wrong, and it also seems like you're trying to twist her actions to make her seem worse than she is. You honestly just seem kind of jealous and petty. You're the a-hole. Nothing you've said here is a warning sign. Maybe she's talking more because she feels accepted into the family. Maybe she's just picked up on the fact that you don't like her and normally isn't talkative around you, but since everyone else was there, it was fine. Honestly, if you're the only one in your entire family who has picked up on these things, they are probably not as drastic as you think they are. You're the a-hole. Seeing as it is a relationship between two people and you are not one of those two people, you are only seeing it from an outside perspective, making your judgmental attitude known when no one asked your opinion, with the intention of splitting up a couple just because you don't like the partner is an a-hole move. You said so yourself. You've never liked her. Since you've never liked her, you are biased against her, and I don't blame your family for being pissed at you. Since you don't care to reconcile, since reconciliation means apologizing or even saying that you were wrong, it's really no surprise that your mother is telling you to get your shit together.